game about raping women after significant discussion. Valve has at last responded to a mounting controversy concerning an indie game designed entirely around the violent sexual assault of women. The statement posted on the Steam blog earlier today. Just FYI, it's not the video you're thinking of. I just put Night Trap on here just in a related thing because that was a game that changed.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to point that out. This is not the game I'm talking about. Valve has at last responded to a mounting controversy concerning an indie game designed entirely around the violent sexual assault of women. This statement posted on the Steam blog earlier today makes clear that Valve will in fact not distribute the visual novel, which was called Rape Day and scheduled for release in April through the company's Steam direct distribution channel. The declaration marked a quizzical few days of silence from the video game developer and marketplace owner, which has taken varying, occasionally radical stances to modernization on Steam in the past few years. In a policy change announced last year, Valve said it would let basically anything onto the platform so long as it was not illegal or very obviously trolling to elicit negative reactions from the general public. So far, the only category to meet that definition included visual novels and other games featuring sexual exploitation of children, which Valve banned last December. In this case, Valve says Rape Day possessed unknown cost and risk, which clarifying which rule it broke. Here's Valve's full statement, which I'll read just part of it. But over the past week, you may have heard about a game called Rape Day coming soon to Steam. Today we scheduled not to distribute the game on Steam, given our previous communication around who gets to be on the Steam store. We think that this decision warrants further explanation. Much of our policy around what we distribute is and must be reactionary. We simply have to wait and see what comes to us via Steam Direct. We then have to make a judgment call about any risk it puts to Valve, our developer partners, or our customers. After significant fact-finding and discussion, we think Rape Day possesses unknown cost and risk, therefore won't be on Steam. This is a no-brainer, obviously, no-brainer by Valve. You go in there and you say no to this game, Rape Day, yeah. So one of the things they did say last year in just referencing the article is that Valve was taking a very hands-off approach, like they'll let anything on Steam because of certain decisions they made in the past where they will allow some games but not others, and people were complaining and there was a huge uproar. Most recently with some of the visual novel games and I won't say mass access, but a good number of visual novel game developers moving their games to GOG instead of Steam. So at some point, Valve just kind of threw up its hands. It's like, you know what? We'll let everything on Steam, but we'll be a hands-off approach. Unless it's stuff like this, which is obvious. Like, you don't publish a game called Rape Day on your platform at all. Like, there are definitely some garbage games on Steam. Don't be wrong. Like, there still need to be questions regarding how that moderation works, but this is definitely one of those easy slam dunks that Valve needed to do. Otherwise, there'll be more questions and more pressure on them. So, that's
like it. Here's the thing: is that it's to me, it's very clearly the guy is trying to troll. He's very clearly trying to get a reaction out of people. That was the whole point. And it's a visual novel, so it's not really like a shit ton of coding he has to do. Very easy game to make. If it was more of a, I don't know, let's say a third person or first person type of game where you went around the, apocalyptic world doing this, then I'd be like, okay, maybe it's less of a trolley thing, but this is totally a trolley thing. That being said, like, in what world do you have a game that is entirely focused on raping women and go, well, that's just censorship. That's just censorship. No, that's not just censorship, you absolute ignoramus.
Yeah.
There's so many more levels to this than you fucking can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, what about this visual novel where a guy's just trying to get with girls? He's not raping them.
Yep.
Hey, like, period.
One of the things I want to point out was the creator himself said that he doesn't plan to to release this game at some point, if it's not with Steam, with other platforms, which I doubt that will happen, or out there somehow. So, and he posts this like the whole controversy and everything. He views it as dark humor, which I laugh and point at because, yeah. If you think if you see raping women as dark humor, I got another thing to tell you, buddy.
Right. Dark humor is somebody dying in an ironic sense. That's dark humor. A woman being raped is not funny. Here's a joke for you. Here's an old joke. This joke has existed for years. Rape is only funny if it's done by a clown or what the fuck ever. That joke has a layer of, it's rape's not funny, but because there's a clown in the sense of the scenario, it becomes comedy, but it's offbeat comedy. That's dark comedy. The joke in that part, or the part that's funny about that, is not the person being raped. So you see how that works. You see how comedy has that detachment from the bad thing to make the thing funny. You see how that works, asshole?
Yeah.
You weren't making the detachment. You were just making it a thing about rape. That's not inherently funny, you idiot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, I think that this was a pretty obvious decision that Valve needed to make.
Do I have to create a talk about how comedy works?
Yeah. So yeah, this is definitely something that Valve needed to make, and I think that basically about it. But yeah, don't do this. If you're listening at home and you are a game developer or thinking about doing something like this, just don't do it, please.
Here's the thing. There are plenty of films. There are movies, TV shows. I said movies, I feel the same thing. And other video games that have stories that involve rape of some kind. The difference is how the story handles that. So in Grand Theft Auto, you'll find out a guy raped a girl, and you usually either kill the guy or beat the shit out of him. That's the point. That's how Grand Theft Auto functions. Actually, there's a whole plot line in Red Dead Redemption 2 where you have to you essentially torture a guy for doing that. You lasso him and drag him to a distance and then tie him to the train tracks. It's the whole thing. It's unbelievable to me that somebody would think this is fine. And then it's unbelievable to me that people are starting to cry freedom of speech or whatever when it comes to this sort of thing. First off, we go through this every fucking time. Freedom of speech protects you from being arrested by the government for what you say. That's all freedom of speech does for you. That's the only thing that it protects you from. Valve, being an independent company in this consumer world that we live in, has every right to refuse service and to get rid of something at their own leisure. This is not a breach of freedom of speech. This is not silencing or censorship. Well, I mean, it is to an extent censorship, but it's on their own discretion. And if they decide to censor thing on their own discretion, you go, oh, I guess what? Well, and you move on with your life. But if your reaction to rape game is, well, it deserves to be there, then you don't deserve to breathe. Full on.
Absolutely. I echo that.
It's trying to sound fucking rough and shit, but Jesus Christ.
Absolutely. As Django put in chat, freedom of speech does not grant freedom from consequence. So
it's just crazy to me that there's this whole fucking there are monsters in this world, like legitimate horrible people.
Yep.
And with the internet becoming what it is, I'm almost to the point where I'm like, yeah, we need net neutrality. Hold on, I'm joking. That's a joke. It was not serious. Just to clarify, I know that didn't sound like a joke because when I said, didn't come off as the joke I wanted it to be.
Right.
But
right.
it's a real issue. Like, there's a bunch of other things I'm not going to go into that I found out about recently that I was like, no. Oh, I don't know. How about on Instagram, kids videos? I'll just leave it at that. I think you can fill in the blanks there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like, the second I heard about this, I was like, yeah, I hope Valve gets rid of it. Because either A, it's intentionally trolling, or B, it's a game where the intended goal is to rape women. Done. Gone. Out. Bye. You can have heavy things in your themes in your game, as long as it makes sense to the fucking story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
Ugh, sorry.
Okay. No, that's all right. It's all right. Get you warmed up for the last for your topic. Right. Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next topic at hand. Talking about EA. They've been in the news recently. But specifically for this one, this is reported off of GreenMan Gaming Limited.com. EA to skip press conference at E3 2019